disagreement, dissension, dispute after dispute. Perhaps if Bruce Lee had known that this would be an aspect of his legacy years after his brainchild came into being, he might have called his art and philosophy Jeet Kune Do. Hello, everyone. This is Dwight Woods, the Jeet Kune Do Rebel, and welcome to the I Love Jeet Kune Do broadcast number 117. This is the one about the Jeet Kune Do disputes. So as you're logging in, if you'd be kind enough to say where you're logging in from, hit the like button and feel free to continue doing so throughout the broadcast. I'm actually conducting a little experiment here. So we are live simultaneously over on the YouTube. So if you're over there, and you're not yet a subscriber, please hit the subscribe button and hit the notification bell as well. And if you enjoy my work and you'd like to support the program, consider making a purchase over at jkdrebel.com/store, and where you can check out our offerings. But of course, the best thing you can do is to just share the video, spread the word about the I Love Jeet Kune Do broadcast. All right, so if I were to spend time going through the disputes that I noted in the postcard for today's broadcast, so I could end up being live with you for hours. So I'm not going to do that. Instead, I'll make this relatively quick, right? And just do like headline summaries and then my opinion on them, and discuss one particular dispute and then get to the simple solution, right? So the headlines, if you saw the postcard, right? One of them is classical Jeet Kune Do versus in the 20th century. So some of you may not recall this, but those titles are actually taken from the 1980s, from the pages of Inside Kung Fu magazine. Dan Inosanto wrote the 20th century title column, which was replaced by Ted Wong's classical column. And some say that this is what ushered in the original JKD versus JKD concepts controversy, right? My opinion on that, stupid. Now, Wing Chun, right? Like real Wing Chun versus Jun Fan Wing Chun. So there are people who say that Bruce Lee didn't learn enough Wing Chun to become proficient in it, so he had to invent his own method, right? My opinion on that, stupid. Right? Jun Fan Kung Fu is something completely separate from Jeet Kune Do. So if I have my dates correct, the open house at the Chinatown Jun Fan Kung Fu Institute was on Thursday, February 9th in 1967. 5 months later, Bruce Lee named his art Jeet Kune Do. This was Sunday, July 9th, 1967. So my question is this. What was the immediate difference on Monday, the 10th of July, between whatever they call what they were doing before the term Jeet Kune Do was used? So if they were calling it Jun Fan Kung Fu on Saturday, July 8th, and then on Monday, July 10th, the name Jeet Kune Do is being used, what's the significant difference between the two, right? And then the last dispute, Jun Fan Jeet Kune Do in and of itself is again different from the forerunner of Jeet Kune Do. So my opinion on all the above, stupid, right? I didn't pull it here with me, but on page 50, right? So this is the particular dispute I wanted to talk a little bit about. And let me just take a second and see who's here. Terry Valor's here. David Hatch is in California. Brooks and I have been having a discussion about Kali and Eskrima and Arnis. Carla Arce is back. Bob Landers. All right, Bob, I'm going to see what I can do for you. And over on the YouTube, who's there? Greg Wilson. All right, sweet. Okay, so hopefully my internet doesn't explode and before I finish everything that I'm doing here. But thanks everybody for checking in. All right, so let's get back to the dispute. Page 50 of Jeet Kune Do commentaries on the martial way. We read, X is Jeet Kune Do, Y is the style you will represent. To represent and teach Y, one should drill its members according to the preaching of Y. This is the same with anyone who is qualified and has been approved to represent X. To justify by interfusing X and Y is basically the denying of Y, but still, okay, so I'm going to replace X, I'm going to replace Y, right? So X is Jeet Kune Do, and Y is Shorinji Kempo. So to represent and teach Shorinji Kempo, you should drill according to the preachings of Shorinji Kempo. And then if you are qualified and you've been approved to represent Jeet Kune Do, to justify by interfusing Jeet Kune Do and Shorinji Kempo is basically the denying of Shorinji Kempo, but still calling it Shorinji Kempo. All right, so here's the dispute, right? So one could simply look at this as Bruce Lee saying, look, if you bring Jeet Kune Do training into some other type of training, then the resultant effect of Jeet Kune Do will be to transform that other type of training, right? You get that? Let me tell you again. This is what I think Bruce Lee is saying. If you bring Jeet Kune Do training into some other type of training, the resultant effect of Jeet Kune Do will be to transform that other type of training. Now, I say that because that is exactly what happened to me. And I think that we could find a lot of other people in the JKD world who will tell you that. They were training in some, let's call it traditional or classical method, got introduced to Jeet Kune Do, and the Jeet Kune Do completely transformed the training that they had been doing formerly, right? So in other words, if you keep in mind, right, that JKD is a thing that comes in and it uproots all of your former realities, right? If you dig what I'm saying. So on page 200 of original edition of the Tao of Jeet Kune Do, here's what it says. The more aware you become, the more you shed from day to day what you have learned, so that your mind is always fresh and uncontaminated from previous conditioning. The more aware you become, the more you shed from day to day what you have learned, so that your mind is always fresh and uncontaminated from previous conditioning. In other words, giving power to the art of Jeet Kune Do and its transformational ability. But instead, this is what I've seen. This X is Jeet Kune Do, Y is the style passage. I've seen it used to suggest that it is evidence of Bruce Lee's desire. Dig this, right? It is evidence of Bruce Lee's desire that people not mix other stuff in with his Jeet Kune Do. That Jeet Kune Do is a specific system and should be taught as such, right? So in other words, the passage is used to foment dissension between JKD camps as an attack on somebody else's approach to JKD. And I see that as a result of a lot of people projecting their subjective desires onto Bruce Lee and then portraying their desires as Bruce Lee's opinion. But look, here's the thing. That is one way to look at it. And a lot of stuff is subject to interpretation, and it's a valid interpretation for some people. I try to practice what I preach. And so to me, the simple solution is this. You just respect people's right to have their own opinion. And you keep this in mind. You don't have to agree with them, but you don't want to be in the business of forcing them to change their opinions. Now, before we go, as usual, when I put the postcard up, right? So let me see if I can do this over here on the Facebook, right? Oh, I should show you this. Hang on one second, in case some of you have not seen it before. That's the thing that I was talking about. So I found it. I had seen this before, but then I came across it again in commentaries on the Martial Way. So it looks as if it might have been a letter written by Cedro Bruce, right? So, but that's not what. The other thing I wanted to show you was this thing here. I found this when I did like a search on online for dispute, right? And this thing is called the tree of dispute, or the dispute tree, or whatever. And you know what it called to mind? It called to mind Bruce Lee's thing about people being more interested in the root of stuff rather than being interested in the different flowering branches, right? As he called it. So I thought that was pretty interesting. But what I really wanted to point out here is, so my Jeet Kune Do colleague, who I think is on here, Ryan Brandon says it's the tree of Gondor. Thanks, Ryan. I'm going to look that up when I finish here. But I wanted to show you this. So Terry Valor over in the UK, when I put the postcard up, of course, there was, a discussion that usually erupts when I post the preview postcard. And you can be sure that it came around to the people involved, the JKD people involved, and the JKD personalities and the egos, and part of the reason for the existence of these disputes and whatever. But what Terry said was, I think it lays in the last bit of your post. So what he was talking about is down there. Let me see. I think for you guys, it might be the lower left-hand column. What it really says is this. Let me see if I can pull it up here. And I'm sorry that you guys over on the YouTube can't see what I'm doing. And Tedus MD, you're saying something about a question and what have you, but I was actually just running the YouTube as an experiment, but I'll see if I can get to your question. So this is what Terry was pointing out. This thing that says most of the disputes of the world arise from words, right? So that was one of the things that I wanted to point out to this, right? So let me see. All right. Well, that's stupid. Well, not stupid, but it's not relevant to what we're doing here. All right. So let's get back to this, right? Okay. So that's the thing, right? I think it says a lot when you read that again, that most of the disputes of the world arise from words. And when I finish here with you guys, I got to go try to put out some fires over on the I Love Jeet Kune Do page. And again, it's a dispute that arose from what? From words, right? Okay, so that's it for today. Feel free, share, like, comment, ask me questions if you want. I'll review everything after posting. Sign up for notifications for when we go live here on Facebook, and please subscribe over on the YouTube to the channel, both for the I Love Jeet Kune Do broadcast and for the Jeet Kune Do dialogues. And when you subscribe, make sure to hit the notification bell. No, I apologize. It's not stupid. It's just not relevant to what I'm doing. So follow me on Twitter at Dwight Woods and on Instagram at Dwight D. Woods. Over at ilovejeetkunዶ.com, the Quick Skills Series Volume 1 is available. Coming up on Friday, March 6th, Jeet Kune Do Dialogues with Ed Stahl of Metrolina Martial Arts. And that should be Friday, March 6th at 6 p.m., right? Today's a red day, as if you couldn't tell, all right? And I'll see some of you on Friday for the Jeet Kune Do Dialogues, and some of you back here next week for another issue of the I Love Jeet Kune Do broadcast. Harry McKenzie is saying, when will I have Richard Torres back on? We don't have a date set for that, Harry, but you can be sure he'll be back on. Richard and I always have a good time, and I like to call him my favorite JKD historian. All right, so I think that's it, right? Yeah. Okay, so I'll see you guys again when I see you. This is Dwight Woods, the Jeet Kune Do Rebel. Enjoy the rest of your day. Take care now.